Hello, welcome to Pursuit of Perfect System. My name is Terry Ellis. Hopefully most of you know who I am by now. It's been a while, isn't it? It's been a while since you've joined me in here, my what some people call listening dungeon. This is my main listening review room. And the reason it's been a while is because I've had no source. This computer over here, unfortunately, went faulty. I basically rebuilt the whole thing, and I've made a kind of a video about that, and then an article on the website if you'd like to find out more about this computer. So I linked that up there. So the purpose of this video, right, is to come on here, and there's going to be two videos about this really, because what I've achieved, what I've been doing, warrants time spending on it. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the system and I'll talk to you about the kit, how everything's wired up, how everything's set up. Because as I'm calling this two-part video series, this is the best sound I've achieved in this room. This is some of the best sound I've heard. And I'm really proud of the fact that I've been able to achieve this level of sound quality. And I'll talk to you about why I think this is the best sound I've heard in some regards and why I think this is by miles the best sound I've had in here. And there's a lot of that is to do with the quality of the equipment that's in here. And then a lot of it is to do with setup, getting things just right, and then paying lots of attentions to detail in every single area, including the room itself and the acoustics of the room. Paying attention to all those details culminates in an absolutely phenomenal end result, one that I'm really, really proud of, and one that's kind of breaking my heart really, in a sense. I've literally just got this system to sound this good, and then the next thing I need to do is break it all down, pull it all apart, and start reviewing all the individual components within it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to invite you up this end of the room, come closer, come and have a look at all the kit. I'll talk to you about everything that I've done. Okay then, let's have a chat about the system. And you know, as you can see, there's a lot of boxes everywhere. I know for some people, and some people call this the Frankenstein system, which I think is quite funny. But you know, I was with Name recently, and they was talking about doing different boxes for different duties. And when you think about that, it makes perfect sense. Dedicated individual things, doing dedicated individual jobs has got to be the best way forward. And that's kind of my mindset really for this system and how it's set up. But let's start with power, and then we'll work our way through right to the end, obviously with the speakers. So the main power conditioner for this system is down here. That's the new Isotek Nova, or Nova 12. Sometimes people call it, because it's got 12 power sockets on its rear. That's kind of two power conditioners in one. It's got dedicated sockets or dedicated filtering for source components, DACs, CD players, turntables, you name it. And then there's 4 sockets dedicated to high current items. That could be amplifiers. In this instance, I'm using those 4 outlets to power several different things. One of the outlets is powering this down here, which is the Isotek Genesis 1. I'll talk to you about that in a second. And then I'm using the other ones to power 3 separate linear power supplies that are all powering something within the computer. So there's one there, that other black box is there. That's 2 JCAT 200 watt linear power supplies. Then over there, which you probably can't see, is the JCAT 400 watt linear power supply. So 3 separate linear power supplies just powering the source. So this is the source. That is a dedicated computer purely designed to be a music source, a music server, a dedicated digital transport. If you'd like to know more details about that, I'll link a website up there. You can go and see what's in that in terms of hardware. I think the key things to talk about with the source is J-Play, Femto, JCAT components in there, including their optimized Serial 88 cables and other bits and pieces. So this is a very, very, very good high-end source that I'm able to run Dirac Live as a software. I've skipped a little bit from the power, back to the power. Powering the Isotek Nova from the wall is probably still one of the best power cables that's ever been made. That's an XLO Unlimited Edition, even though it was a limited edition cable, and I've wired that to be correct for powering the Nova. From there though, every other power cable in this system is from Tellurium Q. We've got silver, ultra silver, silver diamond, and statement power cables in this system. So I'm using ultra silver here, ultra silver there, silver diamond over here, and then we've got Tellurium Q statement speaker cables speaker cable jumpers, again Tellurium Q statements and Tellurium Q statement RCA cables, and the amplifier is being powered from a Tellurium Q statement power cable, but that's coming straight from the wall. I'll get to the amplifier in a second. As we come down here, this is literally coming out of the dedicated computer. We're coming out via, from the JCAT USB femto card, via a JCAT signature USB cable. I made some videos about that 6 or 8 months ago. That's the yellow cable that you can see coming down here with JCAT on it, going through the JCAT USB isolator, which is galvanic isolation, going into the Chord Electronics Hugo M scaler, the best audiophile things since sliced bread. Amazing, that product. That's got its own galvanic isolation built in, but adding 2 layers of galvanic isolation seems to make sound better. So shows how important it is to isolate your digital DAC components from your noisy computer. Even a computer that's got, you know, lots of attention to detail paid to not be noisy, still noisy, still noise coming through. So from here, we're feeding across to the Chord Electronics Hugo TT2. Phenomenal DAC. That's in DAC only mode. That's a phenomenal DAC that I really like, and obviously I'll make videos about that soon. Now, the linking cables between the Chord Hugo M scaler and the Chord Hugo TT2 is Wave High Fidelity Storm Reference. They're the best SPDIF coaxial digital cables that I've tried, and they're absolutely outstanding for improving the sound even more from these phenomenal components. Now, what's interesting is how I'm powering these. So if you remember what I said, I'm coming out of one of the high current outlets of the Nova, and that's powering the Isotek Genesis 1, which is a mains regenerator. So what I think is really interesting, you can see here, basically the mains that's coming into this property is quite high in voltage. It's about, it ranges between maybe 240 and 250 volts. So that's what this mains conditioner, all the transformers and everything in this kit here is having to deal with, very high voltage. However, from the Isotek Genesis 1, it's building a brand new electricity signal that it's outputting at exactly 230 volts, which is exactly what electronic components need here in the UK, or obviously in Europe and other parts of the world as well. And then down here, which hopefully you can see, I've not made a video like this before, that is called an Isotek Gemini, and that is also a filtering based power conditioner for 2 components, but I'm using that as a splitter so that I can power both the Chord Hugo TT2 and the Chord Hugo M scaler from the clean regenerated power from the Genesis 1. And I did that about 3 or 4 months ago as a test, and it was an eye-opening, wow, really interesting moment in this hobby. Now, I wish I had 2 Genesis 1s, one for each of these components, because I know that would make a really big difference. But, you know, in terms of availability, cost, etc., I've wired it up this way, and I'm still getting phenomenal results. I think better results than coming straight off of the Nova itself. Really interesting, that is. But I only messed around with it again. I'm using, to power this Gemini 2-way block, I'm using the Tellurium Q silver diamond power cable. So it's like a £2,200 power cable. But essentially in my brain, that is really what's powering the 2 digital components. Really critical components in a hi-fi system, a digital one. They're so critical. So really happy with how this is all set up, and you know how it's all dialed in. Literally couldn't be any happier. Obviously in the next video when I do the song demonstration, you'll see that and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's talk about the amplifier. This is, and I haven't reviewed this yet, this is coming in the review. This is the Canor Audio AI 1.10. Just gonna get off my knees because I'm getting old. This is a tube amplifier, pure class A, 20 watts per channel. And you'll hear people say, oh, tube watts are bigger than normal watts and they're more powerful than normal watts. Well, it's 20 watts. Yeah, the sound you get from it. I mean, I'm using it in triode mode. It's triode, it's got ultralinear mode as well. Triode is, to me, is where the glory is. And I'll talk about this more in the review for it. But the presence and the power, the scale, the richness of sound, the gusto of the amplifier, the bass control, the transparency of the amplifier to allow me to hear everything else that I've been messing around with. But for 20 watts, it's driving the speakers, who you'll hear in the next video. So let's quickly talk about the speakers, the KEF reference 3 speakers that are my personal speakers that I bought before I started Pursuit of Perfect System. So I've had these for 2.5 years, something like that. Obviously I put them on top of IsoAcoustics GAIA 2 speaker isolators about a year, 18 months ago. And the difference was huge, huge. I think they've just won a load of awards as well since then. So we know how good the IsoAcoustics GAIAs are, but the KEF reference speakers, you know, when I first bought these, I saw these as an investment, a time investment, i.e., you know, I didn't have a system nowhere near good enough, and I knew that at the time, but I knew over time that I would be able to work on it and work on it and work on it, and I was expecting years, you know, because I'm reviewing, I'm getting my hands on kit a lot quicker than I would if I wasn't reviewing. But in terms of hearing what these can deliver, before I made some changes here, I thought I'd hit the peak of these. I was thinking, right, these speakers are not going to give me any more. They're giving me great sound. They're not going to give me any more. But I was wrong. And I still think there's more to come from these speakers. So yeah, KEF reference 3 speakers, finished in the Kent & Foundry Copper and Black edition. Obviously everything in here is pitch black because this doubles up as a cinema room, hence the center speaker. Now the subwoofers, you can see, those are real Predator 1508, the big home cinema 15-inch drivers, 1000 watts, but they're for home cinema only. They're not on for hi-fi, and they're not on for the next video song demonstrations, not on at all. So what else is there to talk about, really? A couple of other things and tweaks that are going on. I don't know if you can see underneath that linear power supply, underneath that linear power supply there, underneath the DAC, on top of the DAC, underneath, as I mentioned there, underneath the JCAT M12 gold switch, actually I need to tell you about that, are isolators. Now I spoke about these a long time ago. They're from a company called Plinth Design, and I was involved in the design stage of the Ceradisc and the Ceradisc 12, which are really the best products that company sells. And I bought loads of them, I've still got loads of them, and I use them exclusively at the moment, and they're fantastic. And isolation really matters. In an ideal world, you'd isolate absolutely everything. It's exactly what the IsoAcoustics GAIAs are doing. They're isolating the speakers and helping to keep the speaker more, make the speaker more inert and less coupled with the room, more decoupled from the room. And the same with all the electronics. There's one other product that I really need to talk about, because this is a product that's in here for a review at the moment, and it's one of the main reasons why this system has gone up the level that it has. And the reason I know that is because I've spent the last 2 days filming in here and doing recordings in here and doing A/B demonstration recordings in here between a few different things. So that component is very, very difficult to see because it's right at the back of the rack, and I've isolated it as well. That is the JCAT M12 gold switch. So it's a network switch, in essence similar to what you might buy from Cisco or Netgear from your local PC World for about £100. But this is a £4,000 or €4,100 network switch. Very, very, very interesting as a product. As I say, I've just been messing around with it for the last 2 days, putting it in, putting it out, messing around, and it's a very, very interesting product. So there'll be videos and reviews and demonstration, A/B demonstration videos coming for that soon. And there's one other product that I need to talk to you about, and I'm going to have to pull it out of the back of this. So coming out the back of the amplifier are two EPluggs. Now, don't ask me what EPluggs are. They're kind of like what other manufacturers call shorties, but there's something in them which I assume absorbs some sort of RFI or acts as a drain or a sink or something. I do not know what they do. I was given these by one of the chaps down at Nintronics. Didn't tell me anything about them. He said, Terry, take them home, give them a try, and let me know what you think. Because Nintronics are definitely the UK, I think might even be the European distributor for these. So if you're interested in EPluggs, give Nintronics a call. And I think if you give them the code Terry10 or something like that, they'll give you a 10% discount as well, which is fantastic. Really good of them actually for doing that. And I've done some A/B recordings of these EPluggs. So there's 2 products. Well, there's quite a few products of the year in here for me. This amplifier is product of the year. You've got probably the Genesis one as product of the year for mains. You've got Tellurium Q Statement as products of the year for cables. They are just absolutely amazing. And then it's a difficult one to choose between the EPluggs and the JCAT M12 Gold Switch as kind of accessory products for the year, because they both do. These are a couple of £100 and that's 4,000, so there's a big difference in price. But this is why I love hi-fi. This is why I love it. Things like this, which just put your jaw on the floor, that people work out how to make things like this that make a difference and to give us more enjoyable music. So I'm going to quickly plug these back in, and then let's talk about the room itself. So we've got dedicated main supply coming in off its own circuit board, off its own fuse board, whatever you want to call it, with a dedicated ring just for the HiFi system. So that literally is plugs there and plugs there that powers everything that you can see here. And then this room has been very heavily acoustically treated by me. I did a lot of measurements in here years ago, lots of acoustical measurements to understand what's going on in this room from a frequency response point of view and from a rate and levels of decay point of view. I think any acoustical approach you can put into your room is better than nothing, and then it's dependent on what you want, I suppose, from a sound point of view. I've gone in here with more of an acoustical approach, i.e. taking the advice from acousticians and putting certain panels in certain places to achieve that, but also with the main goal of trying to soak up as much bass in here as possible. This is a very hot room for bass, and I was trying to soak up as much bass as possible. By soaking up, what I mean by that is to get a nice and even rate of bass decay, a nice even rate of bass decay with mid-range and treble. Obviously, if you're interested to find out anything more about the system at all, leave the comments down below in the comments section. As I say, this is the best this system's ever sounded. A lot of this is the same. You've probably seen a lot of this already if you're a regular to the channel, but you've never heard it sound anything like how it does at the moment, because you can't have, because I haven't. The next video is going to be a full-on, long demonstration of a lot of different styles of music played. Most of it I'm going to play in its entirety, so hopefully you can enjoy the whole thing and get a full-on, you know, appreciation for the music, what that music sounds like on a system dialed in to this level. I'm very proud of all the work that I've put in to achieve this sound quality, and now I've got to start packing it all down, sending it all back off to the manufacturers and get review videos out. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope this has set you up really for the next one, where I'm going to deliver what well, the best sound that I've ever had. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, if you want to see that one, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this one. And yeah, thanks for watching this one. Thanks for staying to the end. See you in the next one. Take care.